Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Prabhupada Jaya Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai, Ram Sagar Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Justi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopika Shyam Mukunda Radha Kodagiri Govardhan ki jai, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Dham ki jai, Gang Jamuna Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai, Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadane Narvashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatadane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 5. Verse 156. Sri Chaitanya say Krishna Nityananda Ram Nityananda Purna Kare Chaitanya Kam Translation, Lord Chaitanya is the same Lord Krishna and Lord Nityananda is Lord Balaram. Lord Nityananda fulfills all of Lord Chaitanya's desires. The ocean of Lord Nityananda's glories is infinite and unfathomable. Only by his mercy can I touch even a drop of it. Please listen to another glory of his mercy. He made a falling living entity climb to the highest limit. To disclose it is not proper, for it should be kept as confidential as the Vedas. Yet I shall speak of it to make his mercy known to all. O Lord Nityananda, I write of your mercy out of great exultation. Please forgive me for my offenses. Lord Nityananda Prabhu had a servant named Sri Minaketana Ramdas, who was a reservoir of love. At my house there was Sankirtan day and night, and therefore he visited there, having been invited. Absorbed in emotional love, he sat in my courtyard, and all the Vaishnavas bowed down at his feet. In a joyful mood of love of God, he sometimes climbed upon the shoulder of someone offering obeisances, and sometimes he struck others with his flute or mildly slapped them. When someone saw the eyes of Minaketana Ramdas, tears would automatically flow from his own eyes, for a constant shower of tears flowed from the eyes of Minaketana Ramdas. Sometimes there were eruptions of ecstasy like kadamba flowers on some parts of his body, and sometimes one limb would be stunned while another would be trembling. Whenever he shouted aloud the name Nityananda, the people around him filled with great wonder and astonishment. One respectable Brahmana named Sri Gunarnava Misra was serving the deity. When Minaketana was seated in the yard, this Brahman did not offer him respect. Seeing this, Sri Ramdas became angry and spoke. Here I find the second Romharshan Sutta, who did not stand to show honor when he saw Lord Balaram. After saying this, he danced and sang to his heart's content. But the Brahmana did not become angry, for he was then serving Lord Krishna. Purport. Minaketana Ramdas was a great devotee of Lord Nityananda. When he entered the house of Krishnadas Kaviraj, Gunarnava Misra, the priest who was worshipping the deity installed in the house, did not receive him very well. A similar event occurred when Ramaharshan Sutta was speaking to the great assembly of sages at Naimisaranya. Lord Baladev entered that great assembly, but since Ramaharshan was on the Vyasasan, he did not get down to offer respect to Lord Baladev. The behavior of Gunarnava Misra indicated that he had no great respect for Lord Nityananda, and this idea was not at all palatable to Minaketana Ramdas. For this reason, the mentality of Minaketana Ramdas is never deprecated by devotees. At the end of the festival, Minaketana Ramdas went away, offering his blessings to everyone. At that time, he had some controversy with my brother. My brother had firm faith in Lord Chaitanya, but only a dim glimmer of faith in Lord Nityananda. Knowing this, Sri Ramdas felt unhappy in his mind. I then rebuked my brother. These two brothers, I told him, are like one body. They are identical manifestations. If you do not believe in Lord Nityananda, you will fall down. If you have faith in one but disrespect the other, your logic is like the logic of accepting half a hen. It would be better to be an atheist by slighting both brothers than a hypocrite by believing in one and slighting the other. Thus, Sri Ramdas broke his flute in anger and went away, and at that time my brother fell down. I have thus described the power of the servants of Lord Nityananda. Now I shall describe another characteristic of his mercy. That night, Lord Nityananda appeared to me in a dream because of my good quality of chastising my brother. In the village of Jamatpur, which is near Naihati, Lord Nityananda appeared to me in a dream. Purport, there's now a railway station railway line near Jamatpur. If one goes there, you can take a train on the Katwa railway line and go directly to the station known as Shalar. From that station, one can go directly to Jamatpur. I fell at his feet, offering my obeisances, and he then placed his own lotus feet upon my head. Arise, get up, he told me again and again. Upon rising, I was greatly astonished to see his beauty. He had a glossy, blackish complexion, and his tall, strong, heroic stature made him seem like Cupid himself. He had beautifully formed hands, arms, and legs, and eyes like lotus flowers. He wore a silk cloth with a silk turban on his head. He wore gold earrings on his ears and gold armlets and bangles. He wore tinkling anklets on his feet and a garland of flowers around his neck. His body was anointed with sandalwood pulp, and he was nicely decorated with tilak. His movements surpassed those of a maddened elephant. His face was more beautiful than millions and millions of moons, and his teeth were like pomegranate seeds because of his chewing beetle. His body moved to and fro, right and left, for he was absorbed in ecstasy. He chanted Hare Krishna in a deep voice. His red stick moving in his hand, he seemed like a maddened lion. All around the four sides of his feet were bumblebees. His devotees, dressed like cowherd boys, surrounded his feet like so many bees and also chanted Krishna Krishna, absorbed in ecstatic love. Some of them played horns and flutes, and others danced and sang. Some of them offered betel nuts, and others waved chamara fans about him. Thus, I saw such opulence in Lord Nityananda Sarup. His wonderful form, qualities, and pastimes are all transcendental. I was overwhelmed with transcendental ecstasy, not knowing anything else. Then Lord Nityananda smiled and spoke to me as follows. O my dear Krishnadas, do not be afraid. Go to Vrindavan, for there you will attain all things. After saying this, he directed me towards Vrindavan by waving his hand. Then he disappeared with his associates. I fainted and fell on the ground. My dream broke, and when I regained consciousness, I saw that morning had come. I thought about what I had seen and heard, and concluded that the Lord had ordered me to proceed to Vrindavan at once. That very second I started for Vrindavan, and by his mercy I reached there in great happiness. All glory to Lord Nityananda Balaram, by whose mercy I have attained shelter in the transcendental abode of Vrindavan. All glory to the merciful Nityananda, by whose mercy I have attained shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana. By his mercy I have attained the shelter of the great personality Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and by his mercy I have found the refuge of Sri Sarup Damodar. Purport: anyone desiring to become expert in the service of Sri Radha and Krishna should always aspire to be under the guidance of Sarup Damodar Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. To come under the protection of the Goswamis, one must get the mercy and grace of Nityananda Prabhu. The author has tried to explain this fact in these two verses. By the mercy of Sanatan Goswami, I have learned the final conclusion of devotional service, and by the grace of Sri Rupa Goswami, I have tasted the highest nectar of devotional service. Purport: Sri Sanatan Goswami Prabhu, the teacher of the science of devotional service, wrote several books, of which the Brihad Bhagavatamrita is very famous. Anyone who wants to know about the subject matter of devotees, devotional service, and Krishna must read this book. Sanatan Goswami also wrote a special commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam known as Dasama Tippani, which is so excellent that by reading it one can understand very deeply the pastimes of Krishna and his exchanges of loving activities. Another famous book by Sanatan Goswami is Hari Bhakti Vilas, which states the rules and regulations for all divisions of Vaishnavas, namely Vaishnava householders, Vaishnava brahmacharis, Vaishnava vanaprasthas, and Vaishnava sannyasis. This book was especially written, however, for Vaishnava householders. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami has described Sanatan Goswami in his prayer, Vilap Kusamanjali, verse 6, where he expresses his obligation to Sanat Goswami in the following words. I was unwilling to drink the nectar devotional service possessed of renunciation, but Sanatan Goswami, out of his causeless mercy, made me drink it, even though I was otherwise unable to do so. Therefore, he is an ocean of mercy. He is very compassionate to fallen souls like me, and thus it is my duty to offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, also in the last section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, specifically mentions the names of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Jiva Goswami, and offers his respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of these three spiritual masters, as well as Raghunath Das. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami also accepted Sanatana Goswami as the teacher of the science of devotional service. So the Rupa Goswami is described as Bhakti Rasa Acharya, or one who knows the essence of devotional service. His famous book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is a science of devotional service, and by reading this book one can understand the meaning of devotional service. Another of his famous books is Ujjwala Nilamani. In this book he elaborately explains the loving of affairs and transcendental activities of Lord Krishna and Radharani. All glory to the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, by whose mercy I have attained Sri Radha Govinda. Purport. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, who is famous for his poetic composition known as Prarthana, has lamented in one of his prayers, "When will Lord Nityananda be merciful upon me, so I will forget all material desires?" Sri Narottam Das Thakur confirms that unless one is freed from material desires to satisfy the needs of the body and senses, one cannot understand the transcendental abode of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. He also confirms that one cannot understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna without going through the direction of the six Goswamis. In another verse, Narottam Das Thakur has stated that without the causeless mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, one cannot enter into the affairs of Radha and Krishna. So these are all the glorifications of Lord Nityananda by Krishnadas Kaviraj, and we see that one particular reason is that he gave him guidance to go to Vrindavan. He appeared in a dream, and in that dream Nityananda ordered him to go to Vrindavan. And of course he is glorifying Lord Nityananda for his great mercy. And in fact, he shows how it is through the mercy of Nityananda that one gets the mercy of the Goswamis. And with their mercy, then you get the mercy of Radha and Krishna. So in other words, we have to approach Nityananda to get all the mercy in order to advance in devotional service. So this is in terms of our philosophy, it has some interesting reasons. One reason is that the mercy of the Lord is always there, but it manifests in certain ways. For instance, Krishna is merciful, but we have to approach Krishna through Radha. If we don't get the mercy of Radha, we cannot understand Krishna. However, there's another way in which we can approach Krishna, and that's through Balaram. So we get the mercy of Balaram, we can also appreciate Krishna. So similarly, in order to appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna, we have to go through Balaram. So, of course, we can ask why Balaram particularly. So one reason is that actually Balaram expands, and one of his expansions, of course, is the Vishnu form of Mahavishnu, and then Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So his Mahavishnu form is called Mahashankarshan, and Shankarshan is often equated with Balaram. So, this Mahashankarshan or Mahavishnu is the shelter of all jivas because they rest within him after pralaya. And then when Mahavishnu understands that the jivas are restless, then he pushes them out and puts them in a material universe again. And the material universe is manifested from Prakriti through Mahatattva and other elements. And again, when the time comes and Brahma's life is ended, then everything merges back into Mahavishnu. So for the jivas in the material world, Mahavishnu is their ultimate shelter for as long as they're in the material world. So this is a function of the Supreme Lord to give shelter to the jivas. This is an expansion of Balaram. So ultimately, Balaram is the shelter of all the jivas in the material world. And we can say that this is a mercy of the Supreme Lord, that he mercifully gives them shelter. Of course, we can also say, well, he gives them shelter, but then he pushes them out into the material world, and they have to, get involved in Maya, etc. That is not the particular fault of the Supreme Lord. That is the karmas of the jivas operating, which the Lord is only responding to their karmas. So, on the other hand, the Lord also is merciful to make arrangements for them to get out of the material world. And therefore the Lord acts as the guide of the jivas, as Paramatma, expansion of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And he's always waiting for the jivas to recognize him. But unfortunately, the jivas ignore Supreme Lord, so therefore he can do nothing in that situation. However, the Lord makes other arrangements for the jivas in the material world. So we get scriptures, we get the appearance of avatars in the material world, and we have the devotees in the material world. And of course we have Manu and his descendants who propagate bhakti as well. So in many ways we get guidance for the jivas in the material world so that they can get realization of Krishna. So therefore, the Lord is not so unmerciful after all. So all these avatar forms emanate also through the expansions of Mahavishnu and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So therefore, ultimately, we say the mercy of Balarama is there to manifest all the avatars and other features in the material world. So, Balarama is often called the Adi Guru because he is the shelter of all the jivas in the material world, and he's trying to guide them out of the material world. So in that sense, he's worthy of worship by all the jivas in the material world. So of course we know the quality of a guru is mercy. He wants to save the jivas. So Balaram is merciful in that way, and of course Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's more merciful than Krishna, and then Balaram comes as Nityananda, and he's also very merciful to the jivas of this material world. So this is when Nityananda appears. This is a very great opportunity to get mercy of the Supreme Lord through Adi Guru, through Balaram. And we see that in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda illustrates this in many ways. We see, for instance, in the pastime with Jagai and Madai, Lord Chaitanya became angry because they had attacked Nityananda and Advaita Acharya, and they wounded his head, Nityananda's head even. And so Lord Chaitanya came, and it looked as if he were going to use his Sudarshan Chakra and annihilate them. But Nityananda was very peaceful. He was not angry at all, even though he was attacked by them. And he told Lord Chaitanya, no, you have to save these individuals. So the Jagai and Madai, when they saw the behavior of Nityananda, how calm and compassionate he was, they also began to change. And by the reminder of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Nityananda Prabhu, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave mercy to the two brothers. So by the mercy of Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya showed us mercy. So that's one example of how Nityananda is so merciful. And we have many other examples of his mercy also. Yeah. So therefore, it is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that if we want to get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to approach Nityananda Prabhu. We see here in this particular pastime how the Brahmana disrespected Nityananda and consequently disrespected his devotee, Miniketan Ramdas. So, on the other hand, the proper understanding is that we have to respect Nityananda as much as we respect Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And actually, in order to get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to first worship Nityananda Prabhu. So we cannot separate them. Just as we cannot separate Radha and Krishna. We cannot separate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. So therefore, the pujari was chastised because he says, I'll respect Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu don't give much regard to him. So we cannot separate them. So Nityananda Prabhu was responsible for a lot of the preaching, and it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita how he would go from village to village with his associates and do kirtan and preach. And in this way, the movement of Sankirtan spread throughout Bengal and Bangladesh. So everybody knows about Lord Chaitanya largely because of Nityananda's preaching. He went everywhere at that time. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Puri, and then of course all the devotees would visit every year, come down and stay for some months, and then return to Navadvip. So one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Nityananda Prabhu and he said, now you should not come here anymore. You stay in Bengal. Why? Because you should do full-time preaching there. You should stay there and propagate Nam Sankirtan to all the people there. So Nityananda Prabhu followed that order, and then all year long he was staying in Bengal and carrying out the Sankirtan movement and preaching, etc. So that shows his exemplary behavior as a preacher. So he was very, very enthusiastic to carry out the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one of Lord Chaitanya's mission is to propagate the Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma is Nam Sankirtan. It is called Yuga Dharma because everybody in this Yuga should do this as their prominent activity. So that means that Sankirtan should spread everywhere. So Lord Chaitanya, he did Kirtan in Navadvip and a few other places. And then he went to South India, and then he came back and he stayed in Puri the rest of his life as a sannyasi. So he didn't wander around and preach. But he ordered Nityananda and other devotees to do that. So therefore, the movement spread through Nityananda's mercy all over the place. So Lord Chaitanya stayed in one place, but Nityananda kept moving around, carrying out the Sankirtan movement. So therefore that shows his great mercy to the people of Kali Yuga. So it is said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most merciful because he gives mercy even to the aparadi and the demons. Whereas in all the other forms of the Lord will kill the demon. Sometimes he doesn't kill him, as in the case of Kali, but often he kills the demon, and then that's his rectification and purification. He gets some purification by that. But Lord Chaitanya does not kill the demons. He did not kill Jagai and Madai. Krishna killed Shishupala and Dandavakra, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not kill Jagai and Madai. And they became great devotees in that very lifetime. So this is the remarkable nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He does not kill the aparadis, but he delivers the aparadis. So instrumental in doing that is Nityananda Prabhu, because he was one of the main preachers of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Though Lord Chaitanya is famous as being most merciful, a lot of the work was done by Nityananda Prabhu in delivering people everywhere. So in this way, he spread the movement to all people. And of course, after him, after Nityananda Prabhu, then we have others who were inspired by his preaching. He had a son, Virabhadra. So he was a great preacher also. And his wife, Janava, she was also a great preacher. In this way, the whole family was enthusiastic to carry out Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they preached. So therefore, they became famous for their mercy, particularly Nityananda Prabhu, spreading the mercy around. So as stated here, we have to get the mercy of everyone, actually. So there's the mercy of Rupa and Sanatan and Raghunath Das and others, Srup Damodar and others, but we can attain their mercy through Nityananda Prabhu also. Therefore, he has a very, very great function in distributing mercy and helping us progress in devotional service. And as I said, this is related to the tattva of Balaram, who is Adi Guru, that he is the original Guru. Now, the Guru can also, Adi Guru, he can expand in many forms or empower other persons to act on his behalf, and in this way give mercy to the people of the material world. But basically, that mercy consists of spreading the movement of Nam Sankirtan. So it's often described, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes, that Nityananda Prabhu was so eager to spread the name that he set up the marketplace of the holy name, Nam Hatta. But at that marketplace, it was not for sale. And generally the hut is the place where you sell things. You sell your vegetables and your fruit and your cloth, and people go there and pay money and get it. So the Nam Hatta is not like that. It's a marketplace, but no sales, free. So that's the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. He does not charge you for the holy name. It's free. Of course, that is the tattva of Nama itself. It's free for everybody. It does not require initiation. You don't have to give anything to get it. It's not secret. It's available to everybody with minimum qualification. So Nityananda set up the free market, giving out the name, telling everybody you come and take the name for free. That again is to illustrate the great mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, that he was so eager to give out the holy name that he would advertise it and tell people to come and say, hey, take it for free. So this is a strategy to, again, make the name available to all people in all towns and villages, etc. So that's was one strategy of Nityananda Prabhu simply give out the holy name. So, of course, name is all merciful, but again, it comes through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Mahavadanya, most merciful, and it comes through Nityananda Prabhu, who is even more merciful. So we get all sorts of mercy in the name of the Lord because of our parampara. So we should take advantage of that mercy, and this will help us advance in devotional service.
Maharaj, I have two questions. One, when the jiva goes back after the Mahapralaya to Mahavishnu and rests for the next creation, does it karma effect still remains, or he gets next due to his desire?
His karma is there and it's waiting for him. Again, and when he comes out of Mahavishnu, it attaches him to him and it goes exactly where he should go according to his karma again. It's not destroyed.
Secondly, you said when Mahavishnu pushes him to the new creation, he gets agitated. What is the meaning of exactly, for me to understand, what is that agitation?
Well, one is through karma. Karma is an education to help us avoid sinful activities and do pious activities and get to sattva going. And then, of course, the other education is that we get mercy of devotees and whatever, and avatars and whatever in the material world, and then we can take to devotional service.
No, like when he is listed in Mahavishnu's body, and then when the new creation comes, he is pushed. And you said he got agitated. So how he gets agitated here?
Well, he gets agitated when he goes into the material world, and then he has different experiences. So those are to help him advance. And the Lord is always there as Paramatma to guide him as well. So that's how he gets educated. But slow process, because the jivas are not very intelligent. So over many lifetimes and many lifetimes of Brahma, they advance very, very slowly in most cases. But slow education. Does Lord Nityananda forgive the Vaishnava aparad to the Vaishnavas? Well, Jagai and Madai committed aparads to Vaishnavas. Of course, they were also, Nityananda was also Supreme Lord, but Haridas was Namacharya, a great Vaishnava also. So that was Vaishnava aparad, not only verbal but physical as well. And Lord Nityananda was forgave them. But we should not take advantage of that and say, okay, then I'll just commit all sorts of aparads and ask for forgiveness from Nityananda. That is committing aparad or offense on the strength of the holy name, more or less, like that. I will do it, and then I'll chant Hare Krishna to get rid of the offense. So that doesn't work. It makes the offense worse. So we cannot take shelter of Nityananda on that excuse, freely commit aparads against everybody. It backfires, and we get very bad results for that.
Regarding this, Mr. Gundam was first question, like when Jiva goes into the body of Mahavishnu, when he wakes up, it's not like when he goes to sleep, and when we wake up, again we start again doing the same activities. It's not like this.
Well, they continue where they left off. It's like simply like when you die and you go out of your body, then you take a new body. So they just is like continuing. It's just like that, but there's a longer period between the bodies. That's all. So the pralaya takes place. Every jiva, or they give up all their bodies, then they come back to another body again, at the new creation.
But that body, what jiva gets, is a completely new body.
New body, like you get a new body every lifetime. You die and you get a new body.
Then how can you say that where he ended previous life, and then from there again like start? Because you see, when he takes birth, so many things we don't do. The child normally cannot do anything. He's almost like this conscious cup.
Yeah, so the same takes place. They take birth again in the material world. They start off as a baby or whatever. They grow up, whatever. They're animal, plant, or whatever, and they grow up. But they continue where their karmas left off. The karmas are preserved, as karmas are preserved life after life here. So and then the same karma is waiting for them again when they come out of Mahavishnu, and then those same karmas continue. They don't get somebody else's karmas. They continue where they left off according to the next body they should get. They get that body.
What is here is mentioned that like if one want to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has to please Nityananda. And what about the other three pieces of the Lord like Gadadhara, Sivash and Advaita? What is the role here? Because see, there are said that Lord Chaitanya manifests Lord manifests in the form of 5 forms.
Yeah.
What is the role here?
Well, Gadadhar is Shakti, so again that's like Radharani. So we have to get her mercy also. Srivas Pandit is Narada Muni, great devotee of the Lord. We need the mercy of the other devotees also. And Advaita Acharya is also, he's also Supreme Lord in another form. And he also is like Mahavishnu. So he's also like the shelter of the jivas again. So, and he was the original cause of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appearing in the material world because he worshipped Shalagram Shiva and then with Ganga water and Tulsi leaves, and he called out, you have to appear in the material world. So he was the cause of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. So he's also merciful.
So this means that Lord is cause for himself to appear.
Yeah, in one sense, yeah.
Because Advaita, you were saying that he is a Lord himself.
Yeah.
He's not even from Lord, he was worshipping Swaram Shila with the Ganga water and Lord appeared.
Yeah.
So philosophically you explain it, Lord is worshipping, he is worshipping himself. Something like that.
Well, the other forms become servants of the Lord, just like Balaram. He also worships Krishna, even though he is also Supreme Lord. So of course they often do this as pastime. In a sense, Balaram is older, so he shouldn't be worshipping Krishna. Krishna should worship him. But then we find the opposite in Ramchandra's Leela, where they're younger brothers, and they definitely are in a subservient role there, even though they're also supreme. So often the forms of the Supreme Lord also worship the Lord. They take that role as well. So Advaita Acharya and Nityananda, they worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
One more thing here, Mahaprabhu mentioned that when Brahmana he insulted, he respect Nityananda Prabhu, then Ramana was feeling very angry, and Prabhupada was quoting that and the son of this Brahmana, he was not standing up when Balaram went. But we see that later when this sages explained about that we only told him to seek because we have given highest position. But later when Balaram killed Brahmana, then he goes for prashita, atonement. So how to understand this? Because later Balaram understand his mistakes. That yes, I don't know this, that he is now highest position.
Well, this is pastime of the Supreme Lord to follow after his devotees, so to speak. So he did this as an act of complying to the wishes of the sages of Naimisharanya, that's all, who are his devotees. So in other words, the Lord is under control of his devotees. So he did this as more or less prayaschitta, because he is obedient to them, that's all. He doesn't have to because the Supreme Lord and whatever he does is perfect, but he also obeys his devotees.
But from a simple like this,
Nityananda composed any poem or wrote any books?
We don't hear of anything, not that I know of. Nothing famous anyway, as far as I know. Even Lord Chaitanya, apparently only Shishastaka or something like that, but we don't see much. Who? Oh, okay. Yeah. Most of the preaching took place through the only organizations seemed to be family type of things. Like, of course, they had gatherings. Like when Janava was there, they had a huge festival. It was maybe the first big gathering after the disappearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Ketari ground. A huge festival, and all the Vaishnavas came there from all over Bengal, even from Vrindavan. They all assembled there for that festival, and they installed deities, etc. and I suppose they had discussions about organization, who does what and who organizes. But basically, there was no legal organizations as such. I don't know how much legal things were prominent there at that time, as far as charitable societies and things like that. I don't think they had them. But things went through families, basically. So we get lines established through the initiators, the Diksha Gurus, the Brahmanas. They established caste Goswami lines. For instance, Janava initiated many people, and they became gurus, and they started lines. So these are the Nityananda Vamsa lines, so many there in Bengal like that. We have Advaitacharya's line after him, the family members. There was a daughter and so many other people, brothers and whatever like that. So they started a line there. There's a Advaita line is there. And Gadadhar's line, some of his disciples started lines as well. So, and this way it went through basically family lines after that. And they would be preaching whatever.
And Maharaj, like Prabhupada talked about 10,000 years of golden period in Yuga. So this period starts with the appearance of Lord Chaitanya.
Around that time, 5,000 years after the beginning of Kali Yuga, for 10,000 years, you know. Oh, well, of course, Gaudiya Sampradaya is a little unique. They probably would never do that in Sri Sampradaya. Even Andal didn't initiate people or whatever like that. And I don't know if there's any great personalities. So in that sense, we can say Gaudiya Sampradaya a little unique. But of course, they took her also as Shakti of Nityananda. So therefore, she had a special category. And therefore, we can say in that sense, permissible. However, I don't know all the details, but she was very strict. And association was very limited. So Diksha only consisted of giving mantra, finished. She would not teach these people. She would not associate with any male like that. And she would keep completely separate, etc. So very, very strict codes of behavior as well. So she maintained her status as, you know, a woman and very chaste and whatever like that. And kept separate from everyone. And didn't mingle with men, and didn't teach men also, like that. And the same goes for others, like Advaitacharya's daughter also was considered some sort of Shakti. So she became initiated as well. But she would also not teach the men.
Just on a mantra.
Huh? Just give mantra. Finish. Okay, you got the mantra, that's it. You're initiated. So that's what Diksha was then, just give the mantra. Finished.
But
yeah. Well, also should be limited. So actually, at that time, I don't know how much the men gave initiation to the women. But one thing is, most of them were householders. So they came in family lines of Goswamis, and they would give out mantras, maybe to men and women, whatever like that. But then again, they would not really teach so much. Mainly, the Diksha was just giving the mantra, finished, and you're in the line, whatever like that. Shiksha, of course, was also there, but some of them did, some of them didn't, maybe. Yeah.
Where women are completely restricted naturally to their homes.
Yeah.
So in terms of preaching and all, it's usually the males would only predominate.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you see current situation, the society itself, you know, there is both a concept of power and right from education. Both of them study together.
Yeah.
And both of them participate in everything together. So the society itself has modified to a point that where the distinction is not seen in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, when it comes to, and when these people see somebody's born, brought up in his born only very traditional mindsets and different things.
Yeah.
But most of the people join, they lead there some 20, 25, 30 years in normal life, and then, you know, they move into ISKCON. So they have that kind of a conditioning, and then they come and then it becomes more acceptable to either hear from a man or from a woman, because that's what they've been seeing all around.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is so that's the main question, is how far we should bend to the modern social custom, how far we should stick to the tradition. That's the whole question when it comes out to women Diksha Gurus. But there's a little bit of a let's say, non-controversy in one sense, because already women are preaching everywhere. So they're carrying out the function of the Shiksha Guru already. So they're actually doing more than the Diksha Guru did before, the women Diksha Guru did in Lord Chaitanya's time. They're doing much more than that because they're doing the Shiksha already. So then it's kind of a minor controversy, should there be the Diksha Guru, because it's a minor function as far as tradition is concerned compared to the Shiksha. But on the other hand, maybe in ISKCON it isn't, because of the position, we can say the psychological position of a Diksha Guru in the mind of the disciple in ISKCON. It becomes a little different.
So actually, Maharaj, my question was in regard not so much in terms of Diksha Guru, but in terms of Shiksha Guru, because when you were saying that...
No, it's already there. It's already changed. But nobody's protesting that for some reason. If they really want to be Vedic, they would have to protest that also. Yeah.
But Maharaj, if we protest also...
But it's very difficult to enforce something like that. In other words, if you're going to do that, then you have to tell all the women, stop your jobs, go back to the house, stay in the house. But how you can enforce that also, it's very, very difficult.
Not only difficult, that will be counterproductive to the movement also. Because people are joining in the parallel. They're not brought up. Probably few generations down the line.
Well, they have to be re-educated from childhood, so it's a little bit difficult to do that at this stage.
And the society in general also will view very orthodox. They will view also ISKCON as a very orthodox organization. And if we see that very few orthodox religious institutions are left in the world. And mostly they're being criticized.
It has. The whole argument has two sides to it. You're not modern enough, and you're too orthodox, or then the other side is orthodox is good. we should follow tradition. So it's just a matter of how much we bend according to modern society. So which part is flexible and what part isn't? That's the main controversy.
And when Lord Chaitanya gave this instruction that I'm requesting all of you to become gurus and preach, was he talking only to men at that time?
Well, that was the prominent audience. You never hear too much in the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. You don't hear much about women at all. They would go to Puri with the men. The whole family would go and everything. I think the women also went. Families went like this. Children also went even. But it's not much mentioned in the whole work, actually. So in other words, they didn't have a very prominent role.
But the question is, Maharaj, that instruction is instruction for all times to come. So when Mahaprabhu didn't specify...
Well, obviously it means everybody should become a devotee. That means men, women, children.
Devotees, yes. And what about Guru? What about Guru as a preacher?
Oh, everyone should be Guru. Well, as I said, it's not too well, there's nothing specific said. But usually we see here, like, anyone can be Guru, whether he's, Sudra or Brahmana or whatever like that. So that seems to imply the men, not the women, So, like that, it's not taken up in detail. And of course, he goes beyond caste, but then he doesn't, make a point of putting women up on the same level as Haridas Thakur being, outcast, getting up there. He doesn't say anything about the women at all, really.